Hello friends and colleagues, Dave Mandel from dashteledemos.de here. Today I want to start by telling you a story that I have the feeling many of you might be able to relate to. Many years ago, I was a young musical performer, new in the biz, and very eager to further my career and widen my horizons. One thing I really wanted to try was to record some demos. This was before YouTube days, so we're talking audio demos here. And I felt they could be a great addition to my headshots and my very, very short CV. And I wanted to send them to casting directors when applying for auditions to increase my chances of being invited. So I went online, I started looking for studios to record in, and I found many to choose from in Cologne, where I was living at the time. However, none of these studios' websites had the information that a complete beginner like I needed. There was a long list of expensive equipment and impressive photos of the facilities, lists of famous clients they had worked with in the past. It was really very overwhelming, to be honest. But there were no photos of the actual people one would be working with. There were no examples of how a recording session would run, and no prices. Not even a services start at X amount of euros. It felt like it was a secret. Like either you were supposed to know this stuff already to be allowed to book a session, or please stay away. I had so many questions. Are the rates a set price for a project or hourly rates? What's included? Who would I be recording with and what is that person like? I mean, when you sing, you have to let it all go, right? Just bare your soul and be allowed to be vulnerable and even to fuck up the performance, to be so much in the feeling that you sing a wrong word or a note, and that has to be okay, and you have to trust the person on the other side of the glass to be okay with that too, and to coach and encourage you to get a great vocal performance out. Now, I wonder what the room sounded like and what I would sound like in the room. Will I hate hearing my own voice? Can I even sing in the studio? It's different from stage. How long can I record for? How many takes? If I don't love the first mix, can I ask for revisions? Lots of questions. I really wanted to do this, and I was really close a few times to call the few studios that I felt were most likely to be a good fit to my ability and budget. Still, I ended up never calling. And why? Maybe you already know why, because you feel the same. I was afraid. I was afraid of asking the wrong questions. I was afraid of having unrealistic ideas of how much it would cost. I was afraid to waste money and time picking, booking and paying for a studio that I might end up feeling uncomfortable in. But the biggest fear of all was looking like an idiot and to be either ridiculed, ignored, or to piss someone off. Let me give you some background on this kind of fear. In prehistoric times, when we were still living in caves in tiny groups spread out over the world, belonging to a tribe was a matter of survival. If you were to do something really, really stupid and fall out of grace with your tribe, you might end up getting expelled, which in the harsh wilderness of those days made your chances of survival very, very small. So we were conditioned for tens of thousands of years to adapt to the group and to keep our heads down in order to not to attract any negative attention. Now, in modern days, you will of course not be instantly banned from society and face imminent death because you accidentally embarrass yourself or do something wrong. But this fear is so ingrained in our DNA that it still sometimes makes us act completely irrationally in order to avoid embarrassment. I mean, what could have been the absolutely worst thing that someone could have said had I called those studios? For example, sorry, we don't provide those services for the money you have available. Or, no, we don't do test recordings. You have to trust our track record that we know what we're doing. Maybe they would have said, sorry, we only work with established artists. All those things are valid reasons not to work with you. Different studios are at different points of their journey, and they also have to make sure that the client is a good fit for them, just like I want the studio to be a good fit for me. And if someone had actually been rude or condescending or something, how lucky would I have been to find out before I book a session that they're assholes and I don't actually want to work with them? Now, probably at least 9 out of 10 studio reps would have been super nice, answered all my questions, would have sent me some kind of proposal as to what my project would cost, or told me straight up how much they would charge if they had set prices for the stuff I wanted to do. The only thing that was really on me would have been to know exactly what it was that I wanted to do. Because if I don't know what I want to do, they can't tell me how much it will cost. For example, I want to record vocals for 3 songs with my own playbacks, and I want the vocals and playbacks mixed in a professional manner and delivered as MP3s. Chances are that I could even have gone to visit the studio before I decided to record there and meet the engineer or whoever I would be working with. And if not, maybe that studio isn't a great fit for my needs and I would choose a different one. Most studios, to some degree, are service providers, and a lot of studios offer their services also to people other than their inner circle. Maybe they don't work with complete amateurs because it's much more work than they can possibly charge for. But chances are, if you are listening to this, you are already an accomplished singer or you're on your way to becoming one. So you definitely fall into the category of potential clients for a sound studio. You are also interested in giving them money to provide you with a service. So why would they not treat you just as well as any other business that wants to get new clients? Basically, what I'm trying to say is this. You know that to really succeed nowadays as a live performer of any kind, you need demo material. Don't let your irrational fears hold you back. If you request information from a studio and they are anything other than accommodating and professional towards you, that's on them. It's their problem. Just move on. They're not worth your time and your money. They may be great for someone else, but not for you. So just banish your fears, be brave, and make that call. Here's a checklist for you to think about before you pick a studio. 1. Ask friends who have already recorded demos where they recorded and if they were happy. If they were happy, put that studio on your list. If they weren't happy, ask why. You know your friends. Are they just being dramatic, or was the service or experience they had really bad? If yes, just stay away unless you're willing to take the risk just to work with a particular producer because of their otherwise good reputation. 2. Don't be intimidated by flashy website photos of the studio. Even if they look expensive, they might have great prices for a simple, quick project like yours, or they might have an empty calendar because the big projects they built the studio for have dried up, and they're grateful for any kind of business. Conversely, just because a studio looks small and not so fancy doesn't mean they can't produce great-sounding records. For most demo purposes, if you're just going to sing a few songs, you only really need one microphone. And though it might be amazing to be able to choose from a huge collection of vintage microphones and musical instruments, having that choice might actually make the studio more expensive, whereas all that equipment is in fact irrelevant to your project and in no way bring you closer to your goals. So you'll only find this out by asking a few different studios for prices, comparing that price to what you get for the money, and then make a decision. 3. Listen to the demos on the website and see if you think they'll do well with the genre you want to record in. If all the demo stuff is death metal and you want to record a soft musical ballad, chances are you have different taste in both sound and in music, maybe even in how you work and what you like as people. 4. Make sure you know exactly what you want to do before you call or write. How many songs? What genre? Your goals with the recordings? Do the playbacks need editing? Do you want a best-of compilation edited together from different takes? Or do you just want the best whole take to be used for purposes of authenticity? What's your absolute limit in terms of budget? The more detailed you can be, the better the studio can answer your questions. And last but not least, if it's really important to you, ask if you can come visit the studio before you decide. It can be a great way to reduce the anxiety you might feel about the whole thing, especially if this is the first time you invest what probably feels like a lot of money into your career. It can feel daunting because it's an investment that you don't see immediate returns on, but that will potentially shape your professional future. So there's quite a lot at stake. Feeling good about your choice of studio and knowing that you will be able to perform well is a big help for the mental preparation that you are going to have to kickstart once you've booked the session. Okay, folks, those are just my thoughts on the subject. I hope you found it helpful and that I maybe could change your mindset even just a little bit to help you overcome this hurdle so that you can start unleashing your full potential as a professional performer, get a great portfolio produced, and reach the new goals that you might have set for yourself for the future. Also, if you are in the Hamburg area and you're looking for a studio to record your demos in, both video and audio, feel free to check out my website www.darstellerdemos.de. You'll find prices, demos and a contact form, and I offer a free test recording for new clients to make it really easy for both you and me to find out if we're a good fit for each other. If you found this video helpful and interesting, I would greatly appreciate if you share it on social media and press the like button here below. You can also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on the upcoming videos with tips and some knowledge about the biz. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment, or you can message me on Facebook and Instagram. I will try to answer the questions the best I can. Thank you so much for watching. Now go put in some work to become greater than you were yesterday.